Right. Hi, everyone on Zoom land. I'm just going to go ahead and mute everyone, and we'll get started. Also, last week we had some technical difficulties. The camera was going on and off, so if that happens and we get disconnected, it will reconnect. So hopefully it won't be an issue, but if it is, just know that it has happened before. All right, so thanks everyone for being here. Thanks everyone for joining online. So let's begin. We're gonna start seated for a little bit. If you're standing, you're welcome to continue standing. So we'll tuck our thumbs into our fingers, let our hands rest on our thighs, and just take a few moments to arrive here together. And we can do that by bringing our awareness to the three treasures: the body, the breath, and the focus of the mind. And we can move through them one at a time. And I generally like to begin by bringing awareness into the body and the alignment of the body. If we're considering these three treasures as different forms of energy, the body is the densest form of energy. It's the slowest moving and it's the easiest to track. So just tuning in to the sensations that you're feeling, whether that's your feet or your seat on the ground, the alignment of your spine, the weight of your bones, the sensation of your clothes against your skin, all of these different ways to tune in to the Zheng, the substance. In the macrocosm, Zheng corresponds to earth, and so bringing our awareness into our bodies helps us to ground into the present moment. And as you relax into the awareness of your body, it may happen automatically that you become more aware of your breath and the movement of your breath. And so just expanding awareness to include the second treasure, the qi, the breath within the body. And if you'd like, you can breathe a little deeper so you can feel the areas of your body where the breath moves. Maybe noticing areas of the breath where it doesn't move, and just noticing. The breath is less dense than the body, but it's still fairly tangible. If not the breath itself, then the movement or the effects of the breath. And as you're noticing the alignment of your body and the movement of your breath, it may, again, automatically happen that you become more aware of the focus of your mind. Whether your focus is on your body or your breath or something else, just noticing where the focus of the mind is. Maybe also noticing that you can direct the focus of your mind towards certain things. Maybe the breath, maybe the body, maybe what you have to do later. Just noticing that you can notice your mind. of these three forms of energy, the mind is the least dense, the fastest moving. And so having something a little more tangible, a little more substantial, like the breath and the body, can help to just anchor the mind, allow us to track it a little bit easier. And as we harmonize the body and the breath and the mind, we initiate what's called coherence. Where the heart rate and the breath rate and the brain waves fall into a similar pattern. And research studies show that when people who are in coherence are asked how they feel, the response is always a sense of calm, ease, well-being. Research studies also show that when a person who is in coherence is in a room with other people begin to fall into coherence. So scientific evidence that an awareness of the three treasures is powerful medicine, not only for ourselves, but for the people who are around us. And so while maintaining an awareness of these three treasures, we can bring our hands together and we can rub our hands together, generating a little bit of heat in our hands. Heat is energy. Energy is another common translation of qi. And when you're ready, we can take a nice deep breath in together. And then exhale, shake it out. And rubbing the palms together, and feel free to massage one hand with the other, the pinky edge, the base of the thumb, the back of the hand, the palms. And then again, another nice deep breath in. And exhale, shaking it out. Freshening up the qi in our hands. And then we'll do a simple face massage, which we've done before. It's kind of very similar to EFT, if you're familiar with EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So let's begin with that. You can take your fingers, middle and ring fingers, or whichever fingertips you'd like. Let's start on the inner aspect of the eyebrows and just gently tapping, working your way out along your eyebrow, and then back in, and just going back and forth. And just using however much or however little pressure feels good to you. I've been doing a lot of online work recently, and my eyes are just so strained, and this is nice. And then you can come out to the outer edge of the eyebrow and the eye, and you can tap in between the edge of your eye and the front of your ear along the upper part of that bone that's right there in between your eye and your ear. This bone is one of my favorite named bones. It's called the zygomatic arch, which I just love that word, zygomatic. And then you can come underneath that bone onto the big muscle of your jaw, and you can tap that up and down. And sometimes this area feels really sore, so feel free to tap a little lighter if it feels painful. If there's a spot that is, exquisitely tender, you might be gentle with it, but maybe spend some time there. So much tension held in the jaws. And as you're ready, you can work your way out underneath your cheekbone and then in between your nose and your upper lip. And you never have to stay on one spot too long. You can always just kind of move around. And then you can work back out to your jaw muscle and then down to that lower corner of the jawbone and follow your jaw out in between your chin and your lower lip. And this area underneath the lower lip, in between the chin and the lower lip, tends to stimulate a lot of saliva. So if you deal with dry mouth, this is a spot that can be really helpful. Generate some fluids. And then coming out back to that lower corner of the jaw and then working underneath the jaw. And you can either tap here or you can gently stroke. Lots of lymph nodes in the neck, around the hyoid bone, the voice box, the thyroid gland. And then you can come to that lower corner of your jaw and just behind it. So in between that lower corner of your jaw and the bottom of your ear, it's another spot that might feel very tender. A lot of inner jaw muscles in that area, also a lot of lymph nodes. And then you can work your way up behind your ear, along your skull, and then over the top of the ear and the side of your head, and then back out to the eyebrows. And then when you're ready, you can let your hands relax. Take a nice deep breath in. Shake them out. Rub the palms together. Breathe. Notice the alignment of your body and the movement of your breath and the focus of your mind. And maybe notice the tingling in your face and cheeks. And maybe even the neck muscles are starting to kind of wake up, saying like, when do I get my attention? And then if you'd like, you can do a couple up and outs over the face. And the fingertips can run over the scalp a couple times, back and forth or front to back. And then we can slide down the back of the neck, coming around the base of the neck, over the chest, lower ribs and belly, and around the waist to the lower back, massaging the lower back and the kidneys. And then we can draw the hands out. Shake them out. Rubbing the hands together one more time for now. And then we can tuck our thumbs back into our fingers, let the hands rest back on our thighs, and again, return to an awareness of the alignment of your body, what that feels like. Breathe into and through the shape of your body. And just notice. Notice your mind, what your mind is focused on or what your mind seems to be interested in. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. that was a brief little self-massage warm-up type thing, just so we can all be here together. So, so like we always do, I just want to open it up. Are there any questions about anything from anyone? If there are, please feel free to just unmute yourself if you're on Zoom, or if you're here in the room, if you just want to ask a question. And you don't have to ask questions, but you can. Yes?
I'm curious what you do for a daily practice.
What I do for a daily practice?
Yeah, like a routine.
Yeah.
Time or...
Well, so generally, I work, you know, like most people, from 9 to 5. I usually get to my clinic at about 8. And so I have time to kind of go over charts for that day. And then depending on how much time I have, I usually spend a little bit of time doing something, some type of grounding practice. But my daily practice is usually when I'm home at the end of the day. And I know different forms of Qigong. And so typically it's like I do at least one form a day. So that's like my daily practice. And it usually involves a little bit of this, you know, like I sometimes will shake for a little while, and sometimes I'm thinking I'll shake for just a little bit, and I end up shaking for a really long time. And then I move into a form. Sometimes I have a form that it's like, I want to practice this form. But as I kind of drop in and get settled, another one seems more appropriate, or that's just what comes up. And so then I do that one. Yeah. As far as like a Qigong practice, that's kind of my daily routine. Yeah. Yeah, it's like my mental health care for myself. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Great. So we typically always do a little warm up, and then we do a little talking about stuff. It's kind of the format of our class. So just a little something about the 3 treasures. We just went through them, right? Zheng, Qi, and Shen. These are some interpretations, some translations of those words. This is by no means the be-all, end-all of what these words can be interpreted as. But the invitation of a Qigong practice is to cultivate a deeper awareness of just life in general, of experience of life in general. And so this is like a vocabulary to help frame that exploration as we're looking into things. And so, you know, when we think about Zheng, Qi, and Shen, we think about body, breath, and mind. We can think about it as the substance of our bodies, the movement that's going on in and around us. Again, the interest of not only our minds, like this could be within the individual, but even thinking about like within the context of a group, like what's the substance of a group, you know, like what makes it up? What are the people who make up, you know, a Qigong practice group in a room? And what's the movement that's going on in there? What's the interest of that? Like being able to just be aware that these factors or these variables or these qualities of frequency exist in all things gives us an opportunity to kind of tune into them, to feel into them, to be able to work with them. So substance, movement, interest. We can think about earth below, heaven above, life in between. We can think about the diversity of everything we find in life. We can think about the one unity that embraces it all. And we can think about the harmony that either exists or doesn't exist between diversity and unity. And so again, just tuning in to these things on a regular basis is as much of a Qigong practice as certain forms or certain movements. You know, that's where one of my teachers, people will ask a similar question like what you asked, like, you know, what's your practice like? Or how often do you practice? And I remember she said, she's very Chinese, so her English is short, you know, but someone asked like, how often do you practice Qigong? And she says, all the time and never. Because I feel like it's not just a formalized practice. It's a way of being. It's a way of being in the world, of seeing things, of relating to things. And so that's what this practice is an invitation to do. And again, just these 3 treasures give us a great way of being able to bring more awareness or more understanding into our experience. So Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say about that? Well, so if we look at these three treasures and then we think about Qi right here, and we think Qi, well, that relates to our breath, that relates to movement, that relates to life, that relates to harmony. And so if we're feeling like, maybe things aren't so harmonious and our life kind of feels a little bit beyond out of our control and the movement is just kind of swirling too fast, too slow, too whatever, what can we do? We can bring the awareness to our breath. We can take a breath and we can settle in. And that breath helps us to feel our body, right? It's like, where is my body? What's going on? Well, let me take a deep breath and let me feel how things feel in here. How do things move? And then as they're moving and we become more aware of the body, we can then become aware of our mind rather than it being so scattered and everywhere all at once. We can focus it in on something that's tangible and grounded and that we can kind of get a grip on. And then with that, working with the breath, we can begin to harmonize. And we can begin to just find a little bit of space and a little bit of calm and just feel whatever we need to feel. And maybe it feels good, maybe it feels hard, but there's room for it to be felt and we're not carried away by it. So again, just another aspect of considering these three treasures. What's some of the information that arises when we consider these things? And so I invite all of you to really, make this a part of the Qigong practice, like a contemplation of the three treasures. What are they? What do they mean? What are all the different ways that they can show up? And that's Qigong. That's a practice. Okay, and then speaking of practice, so I want to put up the magic formula for Qigong practice. It's like a math equation, right? So we have P plus I equals QF. And what does it mean? So the P is practice, the I is intention, and QF is Qi flow, which can also be interpreted as coherence. And so the practice is, again, the practice can be a movement form, the practice can be a contemplation of the three treasures, a breath practice, a meditation practice, whatever. Like sometimes when people ask me, what is Qigong? I say Qigong is doing what we already do on purpose. Because we're already breathing, we're already thinking, we're already in bodies doing stuff. And so can we make that more intentional? Can we make it more mindful? So, just standing in line, and you're just standing in line, maybe being off somewhere, or you bring intention to how am I standing? How am I breathing? What's going on in my mind as I'm standing here? Then standing in line at the store becomes Qigong practice. You have intention into your practice. That creates the Qi flow. That creates coherence. A sense of ease, a sense of calm, a sense of well-being, a sense of intentionality. And so, practice plus intention equals Qi flow. It's really that simple. It can be that simple. And then when we do these forms, these practices, whether it's Qigong, whether it's yoga, whether it's ecstatic dance, whether it's whatever, it all becomes opportunities to cultivate. And that's what another one of my teachers likes to say, is that we're always cultivating. It's just, are we doing it intentionally or not? What are you cultivating? What the choices that you make start to become the habits that you embody. And so are you creating habits on purpose? Or is someone else creating habits for you that you're not even aware of? Again, noticing those things, that's Qigong. So, and again, cultivating that within ourselves allows us to then help others cultivate that within themselves. And it just goes on and on like that. Okay, anything else? I think the one other thing I want to say about Qigong practice is that, especially when we're thinking about like this movement form that we're doing, Buzheng Qigong, it's better to do it wrong than not to do it at all. So that's something to think about. Now, there are some forms that might be very complex, and if you're doing them in an incorrect way, you might be putting your body or yourself in some jeopardy, a potential for injury. So that's something to be aware of, because Qigong shouldn't hurt, it shouldn't feel uncomfortable. The nice thing about this Buzhong Qigong practice we're going to do is that it's very simple. You almost have to try to hurt yourself to make it painful. And so when you're doing the movements, it's less about, am I doing this movement the right way? Are my hands coming straight down? Do they come around? Does that matter so much? As much as being aware of the body, the breath, and the mind while I'm doing those practices. So that's something to just consider as well. It doesn't have to be so specific. There's not if you don't have your fingers in this exact way, then you won't get chi flow. Like, that's not true. You can have your hands or your legs or whatever. The movement doesn't have to be a specific type of thing to access chi flow. The practice is whatever the movement is. The intention plus the practice is what's important. And so tuning in, how does it feel? If it feels painful, if it feels uncomfortable, make an adjustment. And then as you are harmonizing the mind and the body and the breath, then you will get what we're wanting to get from a Qigong practice. So putting that out there as well. All right, I think that's probably enough talking. Are there any questions about any of that I just said? Questions, comments, otherwise? Where does Qigong originate from? So Qigong is originally from China. Yeah, and there is no exact date, but there are records of it having been practiced. Some people even say like tens of thousands of years ago. And originally, some of the earliest practices are related to celebrations around the equinox and the solstices. And so you're kind of honoring the heavens and the earth and these major changes within nature. And then out of that, whether it's just a celebration, we're going to make a bonfire, we're going to honor the constellations in the sky, or however, or the earth god or goddess, or the sky god or goddess, and that's what we're doing. And then over time, they developed into this. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like you could say it's like the Chinese sister of yoga. All right. Anything else? Great. All right then. So let's.
Yes. Can you explain again in the beginning your hand mudra with your thumb and your fist on your thighs?
Yes. So this I typically start like this because when we have our thumbs inside of our hands, two reasons. One, we're generating some heat inside of our hands. And typically, I like to start my practice with a little bit of self-massage. So I want to build up some chi in my hands to do the self-massage. And then also, all Qigong is kind of an application of a philosophy. And so with our thumbs inside the fingers, we're starting to do an internal type of cultivation. We're generating energy for inside of ourselves. If we have our thumbs on the outside of our fists, we're generating energy to like punch. We're putting energy out. So this is internal cultivation and application of energy as opposed to external cultivation and application of energy. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
All right.
And
Great.
I was also wondering, do you teach classes as well in your spare time, or your practice is just for you?
This is actually my weekly Qigong class. There are people in the room who are not part of the teacher training who are here doing Qigong.
Okay, great. I just was wondering, so you teach just online classes once a week?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else?
Okay. A little bit.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, so I'm not fully hearing what you're saying, but I'm just going to be moving my camera back here so that you can have a better view of me, and then we're going to get into our practices. All right, so hopefully things are working well as far as technology goes, and we'll get into it. All right, move that further back. Are we alive out there? Somebody give me a thumbs up if there's a thumbs up. I can't tell. Everybody looks frozen to me. Well, we'll see what happens. But you all are not frozen to me here in person.
You want to connect to my hotspot?
Oh, it's okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, now here we are in a standing position. So let's begin by just standing for a few moments. We can find ourselves in a standing posture, a new shape if you were sitting and now you're standing, just maybe feeling the blood run down into your feet and into your legs. And what we're going to do is continue on with our warm-ups. This is something that's known as like a 10-minute warm-up, so it may take more or less than 10 minutes. And if those of you who are online doing the teacher training, if you can still hear me, it's on page 42 of your training manual. So, again, just tuning in to the three treasures: the body, the alignment of the body within gravity, taking a breath, feeling the breath as it moves into and through your bodies, noticing the focus and the quality of your mind. And so as we stand here and feel our bodies and breathe, let's just take several nice deep breaths, and we can do that together. So you can inhale, and then exhale. Long and slow, and then another nice long deep breath in. And exhale. And any movement that just wants to occur as you're breathing, you can let that happen. Inhaling. Exhaling. Let's do two more, but exhale with a sigh of relief. Big breath in. Audible exhale. One more. Now take a nice deep breath in, reach the arms out and up. You can interlace your fingers, press your palms up, hold your inhale as long as you can, stretch. And then as you exhale, relax, send your hips back, and just let your body fold forward. Your knees can bend as much as you would like. And then on the inhale, just rising up, rolling yourself up, back up to stand, and then another big inhale up. Interlace the fingers, stretch, hold the breath on the inhale, and then exhale. Just let it out. Relax, let things just hang, and then roll yourself up. We'll do this one more time. Big inhale. Pressing the palms up, stretch. On the inhale, roll yourself up. Maybe shake it out a little bit. Now we'll do a little joint mobilization. So beginning with whichever foot you want, you can just kind of roll your ankle in one direction, 5 or so times, and then go back the other direction. And then change feet. Joint mobilization is such a good thing to do, especially early in the day. Getting the synovial fluid in the joints, circulating, lubricating all the cartilage. If you haven't changed directions, you can go back the other way. And then you can bring your feet a little closer together. Bend your knees, let your hands rest on your thighs, and you can do small circles with your knees in one direction and then back the other way. And then you can take a slightly wider stance. Bring your hands to your hips, so rotating the hips so that we can get into our hip sockets, the hip joints. Take your time, no need to move too fast. I have really tight hips, no matter how much I do this. But it feels good, and then you can change directions whenever you're ready. And then you can come back to center, bring the feet a little closer together. You can bring your hands up in between your hip bones and your rib cage, bend your knees slightly, and now we're rotating the pelvis, but rather than it being a hip stretch, we're getting more into the lower back and the SI joint. And then you can go the other way. And then coming to center, and you can roll your shoulders up and back. This is similar to our Wudang style 8 treasures form we were doing last week. And we're not just rolling the shoulders, we're like drawing the energy up the whole body, getting a nice undulation through the spine and back down. If you want to go the other way, you can. Up and forward with the shoulders. And again, not just a shoulder roll, but a full body undulation. And then you can come back up to stand. And then we can stretch our arms out. So leading with your elbow, bring your elbow up. And then the hand comes up. Follow your hand with your gaze as it comes behind you and back down. And then other side, elbow leads, and then the arm extends. Follow the hand with your gaze. And just alternating side to side, getting a nice stretch through the shoulder, through the side body, out through the arm, into the wrist and even the fingers. And that's where you do these movements, and over time, they start to show up on the dance floor. And then dancing, practice with intention, becomes Qigong. Coming back to center, maybe a little shaking it out, shaking out the hands. And then just some gentle neck rolls, so you can bring your chin down to your chest and just roll your head so that your ear is close to the shoulder, and then back the other way. So we're not going all the way around, we're just going side to side. And if bringing the chin close to the chest feels like too much for your neck or your head, it doesn't have to be that big of a movement. It can be a very slight little tuck of the chin as you go from side to side, so you can explore your range of motion and how deep you want to go into the stretch. Again, it should not hurt. It should feel good, or at least we want it to feel good. If it doesn't feel good, try different ways of doing things until you can find a way that it feels good. And then get good at recognizing what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and then apply that to everything else that you do in your life. And then you can come back to center, lift your head up, take a nice deep breath, and audibly exhale. And then we can rub our hands together again, and you can massage one hand with the other if you'd like. Maybe milking your fingers. Just taking the time to touch your hands and areas of your hands that you might not ever really take the time to touch. Like, what does that area feel like? You know, our hands hold so much tension. We're always gripping things. So let's take a moment and think about really stretching through our fingers and allowing the hands to reach at about a 45-degree angle towards the ground. And so the arms are reaching down and away from our body. Our fingers are reaching away from each other. Now we're not letting the shoulders roll forward. We're thinking about the collarbones coming up. We're not squeezing the shoulder blades together. We're just reaching away from us, getting wide and big and feeling the stretch in between the fingers, in the muscles of our hands. Whew, that's nice. And then relax. Shake it out a little bit. Rub your palms together. And then, if you're open to it, you can massage your face up and out a couple times. And then from here, again, over the top of the scalp. And then you can bring your hands over your ears. You can make forward circles over your ears. You can take your fingers and you can grab onto your ear and just kind of massage it like you're kind of like, you know, rubbing your fingers together like this. And just massage the ears up and down. There's a whole system of acupuncture that just uses ear points. And it's quite effective. And so this is another way of giving ourselves a full body treatment. And I mean, the ear is like an amazing architectural marvel, so feel free to feel around in all the nooks and crannies and the ridges and the divots, and if there's a spot that feels particularly tender, give that some extra attention. And then when you're ready, your hands can slide back and then come down the base of the neck, maybe taking a moment to massage one side of the neck and then the other. And then we can take one arm up onto the other shoulder. I like to use my hand to brace. And you can massage your shoulder. You can either like grip and squeeze with your hands. You can pound with a soft fist. You can do a karate chop. And then from the top of the shoulder, you can bring it down to the collarbone and underneath the collarbone, and you can work back and forth across the upper chest. Maybe breathing. Muscles in our upper chests tend to get very tight because of our modern posture. And then that makes it hard to breathe fully. So pat in this area, relax these muscles, invite the breath into this area. This is the beginning of the lung meridian. Maybe some emotions might come up. Maybe they need to come up and be felt and just allowed to move. And when you're ready, we can switch sides. So the other arm can come up to the opposite shoulder. You can use the lower hand to brace your elbows, squeeze, pound, peck, chop. Do what feels good. Try different things. There's no one way to do it. Explore, be curious. Find out what feels good to you. What feels good might be one thing, it might be a whole lot of things. And that's okay. And then when you're ready, you can come down under the collarbone. Again, breathing deeply. Whew. There's a lot in there sometimes. And then you can bring both hands to the chest and kind of work up and down the edge of the sternum, kind of like a Tarzan gorilla pound on the chest. The sternum, either side of the chest, this is the residence of the heart. Open your heart. Feel what you feel in your heart, in and around your heart. Is it moving? Is it stuck? And then your hands can come down onto the lower rib cage. And I like to open my hands and pat. And then after patting for a little bit, I also like to just massage and rub. And from the lower rib cage, the hands can also come onto the abdomen. And you can massage your abdomen. And one hand can come over your chest and the other hand can be over your belly. And you can switch sides. Both hands can be over the abdomen doing their own things. You can bring your hands together and you can make a big circle over the course of the large intestine. I think we all have a general idea of where it is. You can make big circles, you can make small circles within a big circle. And again, no one way you're supposed to do it. There's just a lot of different ways that you can do it. And then you can bring your hands around your waist to your lower back, your kidneys, your lower ribs. And then let's draw the hands out. Shake them out. And then find yourself standing aligned between heaven and earth. Breathe into and through your body. Notice how you feel. Notice what you feel. And then let's do a couple of what I like to call amplification and discharge. And we're back. Hopefully that won't happen too many more times. All right, so amplification and discharge. Big breath in, and then as we inhale, we charge everything up, we engage everything in our body, and then on the exhale, we let it go. So big breath in, amplify, let it build, hold, and then discharge. 2 more. On this last one, as you exhale, just go into a shake. Big breath in, charge everything up, let it build, and let it go. And then shake a little bit. You can bounce up and down some. You can turn side to side if you'd like. You can be spontaneous. It's springtime, so it's like we're bringing the sap up from the roots out into the branches, out into the extremities. One more big breath. And then exhale. And just relax for a few moments. Feel what you feel. Maybe noticing the beating of your heart. Maybe noticing some warmth or some heat in the body. Maybe even a light sweat. Getting the chi moving through the body. Relaxing the muscles. Getting the blood, which is full of oxygen, circulating out into all of the tissues. Blood carries oxygen or air. Air is chi, bringing more chi, more life into every cell of our body, becoming more embodied. So settling into this standing posture, if you'd like, you can lift your toes off of the ground so that you can find the hard parts at the bottom of your feet. The heels, the outside edge of the foot, the big toe mound. Let your knees be soft. You might bend them more than you think you need to so that you can really find those points of contact and then maybe come out of the knee bend, but we don't want to lock the knees. Feeling the feet on the ground, knees unlocked, just noticing the bowl of the pelvis. We don't want the pelvis tilted too far back, because then the bowl would spill forward. We don't want the bowl tilted too far forward, because then we lose the natural curve in our spine. We want it to be free, almost like the ribs are a hot air balloon and the pelvis is a basket that's hanging underneath the hot air balloon, free in space to move, to make micro adjustments as we breathe, as our weight shifts. It's a very dynamic area of the body. And then from the pelvis, we rise up, blooming open into the rib cage, breathing into the rib cage, and really inviting the breath into the sides and the backside of the rib cage, which are very underutilized areas of our lungs and our ribs. And so as you breathe, imagine that you can lift your lower ribs up off of your lumbar spine, that the lower ribs are lifting with the inhalation. What does that feel like? Is it accessible? Can you even feel anything if you direct the breath there? And then feeling the shoulder blades relaxed onto the back of the body, feeling the collarbones spreading wide, maybe even slightly lifting up, so you might feel a little stretch in the front of the chest, creating more room for the heart to beat, more room for the lungs to breathe. Again, shoulders spreading wide into the walls on either side of you. Find width in your breath. Find depth in your breath. Breath is qi, qi is life, qi is harmony. Let your life be wide and deep. And then from the torso, rising up into the neck, thinking about the top of the head towards the sky. I like to say, thinking of the back of the head moving back and slightly up, almost at a 45-degree angle. So the back of the neck lengthens, the chin slightly tucks, and we can feel long and tall and wide and deep. And just feeling, even though we're not moving, it's a very active, it's a very energized, it's a very chi-full position that we're in. On your next inhalation, let your palms face forward and your arms can float up. And as you exhale, the palms turn down, the hands come back down. And again, inhaling forward. And then exhale, the knees can soften a little bit deeper, the hands can come down and back, past through the midline, your toes lift, and then inhale, come up. When you get to the top of your breath, hold, exhale with your arms here. Take another breath in. Notice, are your shoulders lifted? Can you relax them? If you haven't exhaled, you can exhale and then take another breath. And then exhale down. As the hands move back, pause here. Take another breath in. Inhale, reach through the heels of your hands. Reach through the top and the back of your head. Press down through the heels of your feet. Let your weight be in your heels. Feel this posture. Find what it feels like and just breathe for a few breaths. Feel the strength here. Do you need to bend your knees a little more? Do your hips need to come back a little further? Do you need to lift through the back of your head so that your spine isn't rounded or collapsed? It's a nice, strong posture. And when you're ready to inhale, inhale and let the hands come up. Feel the stretch along the sides of your body, stretching the lat muscles. And then exhale. And we'll move like this for a couple more breaths. As the hands come back, the toes can lift. As you inhale the hands forward, you can rise off of your heels if you'd like. Harmonizing the breath and the movement. On the next inhale, take a small step out to the side. As you exhale, the other foot comes in. And then inhale, stepping back out. And exhale in. And just working with this small step as you move and breathe. Just this simple movement really works to stimulate proprioceptive awareness. So the small muscles that stabilize the joints in the ankles and the knees and the hips. This small step helps to turn those muscles on, helps to strengthen them. It helps to get the nervous system mapping more awareness into itself. One more time, stepping out. And then back in. Another variation, as you inhale, take a small step forward. And then exhale, bring the back foot in to meet. And then inhale, small step back. Exhale. Now do the other foot. Inhale, small step forward. Exhale. Feet come together. And then step back. So balance exercise, mental challenge. Let's go backwards this time. Stepping back. The front foot comes to meet it. Stepping forward. And the back foot comes in. Leading with the opposite foot this time. Step back. Front foot comes in. And forward. And back. Returning to the basic movement. Just inhale. Exhale. So again, usually we inhale, the weight comes forward into the feet. You can lift off the heels. Exhale, the weight shifts back, the toes can lift off the ground. Let's do that again. Exhale. Now let's mix it up. So as the hands come forward, send your hips back. Exhale, the hips come forward as the hands come back. Maybe you lift off your heels. And then again, inhale, hips back, stretch, exhale. Maybe rising off of the heels. And then just return, basic movement. So many different ways that this very simple movement can be applied. Whether it's initiating a relaxation response, whether it's challenging balance and neuroplasticity, whether it's building the muscles of the hips and legs, let's do that. As you inhale, sweep your hands down, reach the arms out and press up, and exhale. And again, inhale, sweeping down, reaching out and up, and exhale. And you only need to come down as much as is comfortable. Maybe it's not very much. Maybe you have a little bit more room to go down a little lower and really activate your glutes and your hamstrings and your thighs. One more, big deep one. Exhale. Return to the basic movement. Really slow it down. Use this to calm the body down. Two more. One more. Let your arms just relax by your sides. Take a couple breaths. So that was a lot with just one very simple movement, flowing motion. Tuning into the weight on your feet, finding those 3 points of contact, settling into your heels and the outside edges of your feet especially. And then the big toe mound is there for a little added stability. Knees are unlocked. Breathing into the sides and the back of the rib cage, extending up and back through the back of the head, lengthening the back of the neck. Continually checking in with the body and the breath and the focus of the mind. Next movement. Inhale the hands up the front of the body. When they get to the level of your face, turn them up and look up, a little arch in the back. And then exhale, the hands can come around. You can make fists with your hands. Press your fists together, bring your chin to your chest. And then inhale up. Looking up, exhale. Fist with the hands, fist with the feet. You can scrunch your face up, bring yourself out. And then inhale. Stretch, receive, exhale. Pressing together with the hands. One more like this. And we can make this movement a little more muscular if you'd like. So you can inhale coming up, facing up with the hands, and then on the exhale, just come straight down like you're pulling something down the front of you. Press your feet together like it's almost doing a crunch with your abdomen. And then a big breath in. Exhale. Bring yourself out. Fist with the feet, the hands, the face, the perineum. Inhale. One more like that. Inhaling back up. And then your choice. Exhale, the hands can come around, they can come straight down. You can use force, you can be gentle. Inhaling. Take your time and breathe, and then exhale. Another variation, we can inhale up, exhale, let the arms come around, and this time just bring the forearms together in front of the body. Lead with your elbows, bringing the elbows up, palms up, and exhale. Forearms together, squeezing, and then leading with the elbows, palms up, face up, exhale. So this is a movement that can help to promote circulation of lymph and blood through the chest, through the breast tissue, through the lymphatic glands in the armpits. Inhaling. One more time. So we have 3 options of doing this movement. So you can do the one that feels good to you, or you can do a different version each time and just explore. Feeling what feels most appropriate, which may be different moment to moment. And so as we inhale, we stretch, we receive, we absorb like a sponge. And as we exhale, we wring ourselves out, flushing ourselves clean, and again. On the inhale, just bring yourself up to stand. The hands can float up about shoulder or head level, and then just exhaling back down. And take a moment, check in, breathe, rest. Notice the alignment of your body. Notice the breath moving into and through your body. Notice the quality of your mind. Wind in the bamboo. Inhale, let yourself get nice and tall, stretch long, and then exhale over to one side, the side that you've been towards. Put your hand on that hip, bend that knee, and then inhale, press up through that leg, and then exhale to the other side. Your other hand can come to your hip if you'd like. Press through the leg to bring yourself up, and then exhale. We want to get long and tall on the inhale, fully inhale, and then exhale. Bending the knee so that you can press through your foot to come back up to stand. We're lifting with the legs, not the back. And just go as far as is comfortable. If you'd like to take a slightly wider stance, you can. Strong leg lifts you up. You can adjust the angle of your feet as needed. This time, inhale up to a T. Exhale, one hand comes down to brace on the leg, the other hand comes over. Bending the knee, and then inhale yourself up through your leg, and then the other side. Inhale. Take your time, move at whatever pace is your pace. A variation, exhale, stay here, inhale. And then exhale, maybe you get a little more depth, and then inhale back up. Exhale, stay here, take a breath. Exhale. Inhaling. Exhaling. And we can inhale right back up if you'd like. Another on each side. Inhale to a T. Exhale. And again, just breathe. If you want to adjust your stance a little closer together, you can. If you'd like the wide stance, that's fine. But we do a practice, and then we take a moment to rest, to integrate, to notice. Next movement. You can interlace your fingers and then inhale your hands up to your chin. Hold at the top of the inhale, turn the palms up, and then exhale out and up. Arms come out to shoulder level, hold at the bottom of the exhale, and then inhale. Holding all the way up to the chin, palms up, exhale. Holding out at the shoulders, inhale. Palms up and exhale. Holding at the bottom, and then inhale. Moving with the rhythm of your breath. You might notice that holding at the top and the bottom of the breath might introduce a little bit of stress into the system, which is by design. It's called hormesis. A little bit of healthy stress to build resiliency, to increase our capacity to deal with intensity and complexity. The nature of evolution is to move into higher levels of intensity and complexity. It's not going to get any less intense or complex. Chances are, probabilities are high, that it will get more intense and complex. Can we cultivate an ability, a capacity to handle complexity and intensity and remain calm, remain grounded, remain connected to our breaths and our bodies, to not allow our thoughts to run away with us? I think the answer is yes, we just need to work on it. And this is a way of working on it. Holding at the bottom of the exhale, inhale. Holding at the top of the inhale, exhale. 2 more full cycles. Exhale. As we've been doing, inhale up to the chin, palms down, and exhale. And take a moment to rest and breathe. Notice in your body where you feel the effects of the movement. Do you feel it in your shoulders? Do you feel it in your neck? Do you feel connected through your heels into the ground? So now let's do a little breath practice. We'll do shi, shi, hu. Shi means inhale, hu means exhale. 2 inhalations, 1 exhalation. Since we're inhaling twice, they're small little breaths. And there's something called LSD breathing. The person who developed that term, L doesn't mean long, L means light. Light, slow, and deep. Because if you breathe too vigorously, it actually constricts the nasal pathways. So we want to breathe light and easy. And nice and slow and deep just happens that way. So it's 2 inhalations, 1 long exhalation. In through the nose, out through the nose, or the mouth. Your choice. So we'll start slow, like this. Take your time. If you start to feel dizzy, it's because you're inhaling too much, hyperventilation. So if you feel dizzy, inhale less, exhale more. I think there's a lesson about the rest of our lives in there somewhere. We'll start to pick up the pace. Like a train picking up steam. Faster. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big breath. Exhale. Stand and breathe. Feel the effervescence in your body, tingling in the cheeks, in the hands, up the back of the body. Breathe all of that through your body, bringing more oxygen into the body, increasing oxygen saturation levels of the blood, allowing the blood to circulate to more areas of the body, more chi to every cell. Breathe with every cell of your body. Breathe into and through every cell in your body. Breathe the universe into you and exhale yourself out into the universe. And participate in that exchange of energy. It comes and it goes. It tends to create problems when it stays and accumulates. It's the nature of the chi to come and to go. And we can participate in that. So now that we've activated our internal pharmacy, we can direct that medicine wherever it's needed in our body. You can use your hands and you can touch an area of your body if that's an organ, if that's a joint, if that's a muscle, if that's a place where emotion feels congested. Just give yourself some attention there. Direct the energy where you need it. Where you need it is different than where I need it, so apply your medicine where your body needs it. With intention. So we can apply medicine directly to where it's needed, and then we can apply medicine more generally. So the general application of medicine, we can come over our heads and down the back of our necks and around the base of the neck and then under the collarbones, down the backside of the body, down the backside of the legs, over the tops of the feet, the shins, the front of the leg, to the abdomen, and then we can bring the hands out, both arms, turn your palms to face you, and then over the head, around the neck, under the collarbones, down the back of the body, up the front, over the belly and the chest, out the arms, palms face. One more time, over and around, under and down. Up the front, out the arms, and then inhale up, exhale. And take a moment drift, rest, breathe into and through your body. Feel the exchange of qi that is taking place all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. So why not be aware of it? We can fold our hands over our lower dantians. Just take a moment to feel your hands over your belly. Breathe into the space underneath your hands. Yi Dao, Qi Dao, where the mind goes, the qi goes. For a lot of us, our qi tends to be oriented in our heads. Sometimes it's oriented in our chests. Both of these places can be a little volatile at times. Can we allow these currents of thought and emotion to flow down into this ocean of the lower dantian and be stabilized and grounded? If we can spend some time with our minds in the lower dantian, the qi will begin to orient to the lower dantian. It's where it will reside without us having to direct it. And then when you're ready, we can rub our hands a little bit. We can massage our faces up and down a couple times, back and forth over the top of the head, down the back of the neck, around, over the chest, the lower ribs, the belly, around the waist to the lower back, and then draw the hands out. Shake them out. Let's pat up one arm, and then down. Tap your fingers, up the other side, and down. And then around and down the back of the legs, up the front, and again, around and down, and up the front. Whew. All right. So that's some Qigong. Good. Thank you for practicing with me. Thanks for taking the time to do that. And then I also just want to, we have a couple moments. For those of you who are here and not a part of the teacher training, you're welcome to hang out if you'd like or do as you'd like. And if anyone has any questions about anything that we've just done, or questions, comments, or otherwise, please feel free to let me know. And if not, that's okay too. We can just kind of bask in the glow of the Qigong state.
Thank you. That was an amazing class.
Yes, someone had a question?
I said thank you. That was an amazing class.
Thank you, Amit. And Michelle, yes.
I just wanted to thank you. I finally was able to connect because I'm in New York and not in QS, and I'm teaching usually on Wednesdays. And I was able then today to connect finally. It's been wonderful.
Well, thank you.
You remember, right? From the level 2.
Yes, right. I remember. Thank you for joining practice. All right.
Yeah.
Well, and this class it is being recorded, and so it'll be uploaded, so you can refer to it whenever you'd like, if you'd like. And if anyone, whether from the teacher training or otherwise, if you'd like a recording of this week's class, let me know. I'll send you a link. And is there anything else before we finish up for the day? Okay, well, thank you so much for practicing with me. Thank you for being here, for taking the time to practice Qigong for yourself and for the rest of the universe. All right, thank you. We'll see you next time.
You-